What's up, everybody? Usually I do a little intro, what's up, while the clapping of the great audience is going off. But anyone who was following me on X would know, I'm not under the weather, but the weather changing. We have gone from drastic, like, minus 10 weather here in New York to, like, we had 46 degrees the other day. So my voice is my voice seems to be under the weather. But nonetheless, I want to say thanks to everybody for being here. We got a great news week. Great news week. Go ahead and hit that like button if you want to become a member of the channel. Please hit that join button. It's above that amazing description. If you look at that description, that's at least an A- this week. I took some time and wrote that one. Enjoy that. You can become part of the family if you hit that join button. It means the world to me. Shout out to MASH. I'm not sure if MASH will be able to make it tonight live, but MASH donated like 20 memberships to the channel on Monday night. We had a great show Monday. We did a Monday Avowed review. And of course, it dove into a few other subjects, which was fantastic. But great to see everybody. Shout out to a couple people here. JC 2013, great to see him. Pardon me, guys. Steady flow. Shout out to Oh Snap, it's Mel and Blades, by the way. Shout out to Blades and Mel. Great to have them here in the chat listening to the show live. Been a long time. That's the old crew right there. We're going to get back into Warzone. That's another little plug I'll give real quick. Twitch.tv. Go over and check Mooch out over there. I've noticed you guys are following over there, which is fantastic. Every week I see a couple, 3-4 new ones over there, which is a big deal on Twitch. So go over there. It's Mooch TV. It's Mooch M00CHTV everywhere. Guys, I got a great show for you tonight. Hopefully the voice makes it. But I do have the great Crap Gamer with us tonight. Okay?
Yeah,
let me tell you. Crap, listen, we did this M&C before. You'd write me. I'd write you sometimes saying, Crap, my voice is it's shot. And you're like, don't worry. I got you today. Then I'd say, Crap, just tell me when and I'll go off on a rant. Okay? So we got the great Crap Gamer here, everybody. Crap, great that you can make it, and great that you can save me again. Crap, how you doing this evening?
Hey, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to doing the show. I think specifically on days when, like, you know, we've had some interesting topics and things come up, and there's stuff to talk about. And you know what's funny was, Mooch, the other day I did a video and I was like, you know, there's some interesting good news coming from Microsoft. I forget what the good news was. Yeah. It could have been something. Mm-hmm. But I was like, but don't worry, because in a few days, there'll be some bad news. And that's just the way Microsoft is. They can never have consistent good news. They do good news, and then, you know, they're going to do something. Hold on, they're going to do something stupid, and then they do it. You know what I mean?
Any minute now.
Yeah, any minute now. And so, like, I can remember, like, Sony did something. I think that whole Concord disaster. And I was like, hold on to it. Wait for it. In a couple days, and Microsoft lays off, like, 1,900 people or 19,000 people or something.
Something happened, yeah.
And there it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know that the other shoe is going to drop at some point. So, you know, it's frustrating, you know, because I'm an Xbox fan. And so there's good stuff because you finally have some gains, but it's like a sort of a bittersweet situation because I refuse to be a person to sit there and cheer the fact that they're releasing these games everywhere when we never got the chance to stand on top of the mountain, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
that's right.
And so it's like, you know, kind of, it's kind of frustrating. Not because somebody else gets to play the game. I get that point of it, but it's like, you know, nobody I think went into this generation buying an Xbox Series X or S excited that PlayStation would get all their games, right? Like nobody would have bought. Like if we had known that, I certainly wouldn't have bought one. You know what I mean?
Crap! You could see that with the sales dropping every month. I mean, that's the case, right?
I mean, look, and people can still find my tweet that's up the day that this was before the pre-orders went up for Xbox Series X. I think the day before that, and this was obviously to spurn people on to pre-order it. They announced that they bought ZeniMax. Right?
Yep.
I made a tweet. I'm going to pre-order an Xbox Series X. Now, I wasn't originally going to do that and get that day one, right? But when they announced, hey, we're buying ZeniMax, that was clearly a play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they had nothing first-party launching with their console. And I was like, well, why the hell would I get it then? You know? And then they're like, oh, well, we bought ZeniMax. And I was like, well, I'm going to get me one now. You know what I mean? And so it's like, people try to change it or whatever, but I know for a fact that, you know, they bought that and they tried to, you know, they basically trick people into buying the platform, you know, and that's a very frustrating thing for me. And, you know, like the Forza Horizon thing, it's like there's always something, you know, the people that were like, well, if it's ever Gears, Forza, Halo, then I'll say something. And now they're like, well, who cares? I played that game in 2021. You know, it's like always something, and it's like, man, you guys are like really, really out there with this stuff. You know, it's like it's okay to critique them or be upset about that stuff because, you know, they're a corporation that basically, and all corporations lie, but they tend to really lie.
Yes.
So yeah, it's frustrating. I'm pissed off about the situation for sure. So I'm not afraid to kind of talk about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get on with the other introductions.
Absolutely. Well, crap. Listen, go ahead and come up with your lists and your reasons. We're going to get into Fable first. But the great Mag is here. And guys, I said my voice is hurting. You know who's not? The great Mag, okay? Mag, listen, this way they'll definitely know the difference between me and you this evening, okay? There's no way around it. But Mag, great to have you here as always. There's a lot of hot topics. I gave you guys 11 of them. We'll get to 2. So, but just like anything else, Mag, I like to be prepared. I'm just being prepared. Yeah. That's all. But Mag, great to have you here tonight. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. And listen, if you're worried about the situation with your voice, I'm like, guys, take over. Just say hi to crap. That's 15 minutes right off the bat.
It is. The show's over.
You could have a few lozenges, have a tea, then we'll get right back in the conversation. Just kidding. Anyways,
exactly.
I'm happy to be here, and we got some great things to talk about. What a time to have the show one day after some pretty epic news, and of course, I've got some information on that. I'm sure that me being on the show is not an accident. So let's talk about this stuff tonight, and let's get into this show.
Well, look, chime in anytime you guys want. But let me go ahead and introduce the great Detective Seeds. Seeds, listen. All right, you're harder to book than anybody else in the industry. Me and Seeds have now gone back and forth and said we were going to have a show together here on CrossFire for about 5 or 6 weeks, but then work gets in the way, things get in the way. But the great Seeds is with us. He's also a little under the weather, but I think he sounds better than I do. Seeds, now he's muted right now, so we'll see what happens. I'm waiting patiently. See, this is what happens when you do podcasts long enough. You don't just go, and Seeds, and then nothing happens. So you want to do is there it is. The great Seeds, everybody. Seeds, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm also a little bit under the weather. So yeah, work's had me pretty busy. But it's always good to be on here and jump in and talk games with you guys. Appreciate you always invite me on. I actually am getting ready to start streaming over at Twitch as well.
All right.
Twitch.tv Detective Seeds. I think I have like 3 followers over there, so really crushing it, but I haven't streamed yet. So yeah, man, I look forward to talking. There's a lot that's been going on, and a lot happening in the industry, especially the last couple days.
Absolutely.
And weeks, so look forward to talking about it.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, the great Death Singer. You guys know in the audience, you guys love Death Singer. You guys are all holding up Death Singer posters. They love you, Death Singer. They absolutely love you. You're the best. Singer, in all honesty, great to have you here. We had a great pre-show talk, too. A great pre-show talk. Listen, I'm going to start with you here, Singer. First, I'll say, how are you? But then we'll get right into it. How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. Everything's hunky-dory over here. And obviously, I started the generation a little different crap because I was like, cool, I got all the games over here. And the thing that blindsided me was all the PlayStation games coming over. Because never in a million years did I think that was going to happen. And then they were like slowly rattling them off. And I'm like, holy shit, really? Okay, this is what we're doing. So I was like, I don't need to own a console. It was a great time because, saved me some money. But yeah. Great to be here.
Great to have you here, Singer. All right, so here's the deal. So I'll just set the stage here because I know Crap's got a lot to say. Mag, I'm really interested in what you have to say too because you've kind of on both sides of the audience here. You hear a lot of stuff coming from the Xbox camp as well. Me and Death Singer were going back and forth before the show, and we were talking about what are the reasons here that Fable being delayed till 2026. And it's not necessarily this is not a doom and gloom discussion. It's not, but we came up with a couple of things. These are the things that are out there that we've heard. Game needs polish, so they delayed it, right? The game will be ported to PS5 day one when they do this, so that would be another reason for delay. There was 1 or 2 people that came out and said, and I don't know if this was reviewers or their Q&A folks, that said the game isn't fun and because of some of the mechanic issues, and they're going back to fix that. And then the other one would be get out of the way of GTA 6. That seems natural. And then Death Singer threw a curveball, and he says, well, I think they're actually postponing it because maybe they're making a Fable remaster for the first 3, and then they want to launch on the PS5 day one next year.
If they wanted to do Fable remasters, they should have, here's the thing with Microsoft, right? They don't have good leadership because if I'm, and I'm just a nobody, but I know that Fable's 20-year anniversary was last year. So if you wanted to do remasters, that would have been the time to do it. You remaster it if you really think you're going to get the new Fable out in
Right.
2025. You remaster those games for 2024, and then you get everybody caught up to speed, right? So I think that would have made the most sense. I don't think, I don't understand why they haven't done remasters or remakes to begin with, because they have a lot of IP that you could do that with. And Sony does it a lot, and Nintendo does it a lot. It's a good way. Sony said, hey, we fund our games by doing these remakes and remasters. Hey, fair enough. You can buy them or you can't, but there's some stuff that I would love to get remasters and that's one of it. The Fable games are really awesome. I enjoy those games a ton. It was interesting because Nate the Hate said this could enable it to launch on PlayStation. He suggested, and I heard from somebody else too, that it was always planned to go to PlayStation 5 a year after Xbox. And supposedly the game was going to launch late this year on Xbox, which means it would have launched late next year on Xbox. So now you figure they almost give themselves 2 full extra years. People don't realize that. I mean, we're only in February. If this game was going to launch in December or November this year, and then let's say it launches November or December next year, they're giving themselves almost 2 full years to work on this thing still,
right,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And so again, they could want to get that recoup. It's an expensive game. It's been worked on in some form since 2018. So, they've been working on it for a long time. You have Eidos Montreal, who did Guardians of the Galaxy. Great game.
Yep. Great game.
And they're assisting with that game. They have, a lot of people working on it. It's a very costly game. For me, here's what I'll say, right out of the way. I figured this game, obviously everything's coming to PlayStation. You have to kind of deal with it. But the part that would really just utterly piss me off is this game was previously announced as an exclusive. You delay it to have it come out as a multi-platform. That's a big fuck you to the fans and a big slap in the face. I don't care who you are. It is. I mean, it's terrible. It's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you have already announced this thing as exclusive. I get it. You changed. Phil Spencer had the. He's getting a little spanked or whatever by Satya. So you got to do what you say or whatever. But you gotta. You also have all these millions of fans.
Right.
Forward. State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, Fable, all this stuff is going to release day one on Xbox. The people that think otherwise are insane. All this stuff is going to release on PlayStation day one. The only reason why stuff like Avowed and Indiana Jones didn't was because that stuff was getting worked on before they came up with this ridiculous idea. Now, I would love to be a fly on the wall with Xbox and see how they expect to sell hardware, right? Because they clearly still care about Game Pass. The most amount of people that get Game Pass are the console side. So how do they expect people to continue to buy consoles and hardware in the future if all their games are on PlayStation? Sure, there's going to be a certain amount that will, because I get this all the time on Twitter where they're like, Game Pass, you pay, I play, whatever the fuck that means, because I pay and play to, what? You rent games and that's a big deal? Okay, cool. I've been renting games since Blockbuster.
Hey, Crab.
It ain't no thing to me.
Crab,
Yeah.
do you guys mind if I interrupt you guys real quick? So the stream went down.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys know, the stream went down. We are back up. Guys, listen, I apologize. I think what I have to do, and you guys were having a fantastic conversation. I'm very sorry to break that up. I just want to explain to the audience.
That whole thing was dead?
Yeah, that was dead. I apologize, guys. That's what, so I didn't get a chance to tell you. I was telling a few people behind the scenes earlier. The PC could go down. I'm having an issue. I think it's something with the graphics card because it's overheating the monitors. I'm not sure. I don't know what the hell's going on. I got to take a look. So we're going to go ahead and try to keep the show going here. If it does that again, I will continue to keep going. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. I think it's got something to do with the graphics card, or the mixer is completely. After that last update, Mag was saying this before the show. There was an update. After the updates have all hit my computer, this has been a problem since Monday. This actually happened during the Avowed review. But it happened at the very end, so everybody had left, and I just said, well, that's the end of the show anyways. Have a good night, and it worked out. So shout out to MASH for the gifted subs. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all waiting around. I'm going to keep the show going as long as possible. Crap, please go ahead and finish your thought. I just wanted to explain to the audience what happened. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Man,
Yeah, I
Craft,
think
you crushed it too. Good job.
Yeah, I was all into it, but yeah, it's like I think like what I was getting at was a lot of people will say and would be okay with, oh well, if Xbox gets the game first and then it comes to PlayStation a year later or whatever, who cares? In the future, it's going to be all day and date. Once the stuff like Avowed and Indiana Jones were being worked on well before this stuff was implemented, so they were kind of forced to keep those dates, and those games will, same thing with Bleeding Edge or not Bleeding. What is the hell is that game? What the hell is that game where you're the girl who hears voices? Fucking something
Hellblade?
to Hellblade,
Hellblade 2,
yeah.
yeah.
Right. So those games were being worked on before they did this. So they come out on Xbox first. They'll all come out on PlayStation, but stuff, in my opinion, like Fable, Perfect Dark, the next Forza game, the next Halo game, the next Gears game, all that stuff is going to release day one on PlayStation, and just everything from here on out. But the thing that I would like to understand is how Microsoft plans on selling hardware in the future if their platform doesn't have anything exclusive, because like I mentioned earlier, I bought an Xbox Series X and pre-ordered it when they bought ZeniMax. Literally the next day, pre-orders went up and I got one, and I wasn't going to, and it was only because they did that where I was like, okay, they've got that extra something that Sony doesn't have, because I always get the platforms for the different things that they have. And I would just like to know how they plan on selling any Xboxes outside of like probably a handful of million that'll get that really like Game Pass and refuse to buy games.
I don't think that they do, and I think that right now, I think that Microsoft Gaming is going to be a great publisher, but I personally believe that cheering for or thinking positive about Xbox's hardware going forward in the future is like thinking that a group of midgets is going to beat the 96 Bulls in the championship. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to invest in it. And I think that they're a software company. We've seen interviews come out where several tech CEOs are like, why are you guys in this market? And I do think that their best foot forward is to have some hardware footprint, but it's probably going to be geared more toward something that can integrate maybe with PC or something like that. But I think they'll
if
have
they don't
something,
care, then why would anybody else though? Like
They
that's
don't.
the
That's
thing.
why everything's an
like,
Xbox now.
Yeah, it's like when it's like they don't care if they're gonna half-ass it. They might as well not do it at all. In my opinion, it's like tear the whole Band-Aid off. It's
Right.
It's like, and it's still kind of sad because you got people that seriously still ultimately believe that like what Microsoft is doing is good, or that everybody's doing this, and it's like that's not the case. PlayStation. Look, when GTA 6 releases, and I believe they'll probably be partnered with PlayStation for some kind of marketing or whatever.
Yeah, more than likely.
PlayStation 5 is probably going to cross 100 million units sold at some point this year, right? Like everybody's going to get a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro to play that game. And, I'm not saying that nobody will buy an Xbox for it, but it's like clearly PlayStation's going to be synonymous with that game. And like it always has been, it's like Metal Gear is synonymous with PlayStation, right? I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And people are going to buy PlayStation, and a lot of them, and I think that more and more developers are probably, and this is the thing, right? Like there's still a lot of third-party developers that use Xbox, probably more than would if Xbox wasn't owned by Microsoft. And people ask me, they go, well, why are all these companies still releasing third-party games? Well, Microsoft is still Microsoft. You don't really want to piss them off.
Right.
They've got their hand in a lot of things. Azure, a lot of these companies use them for their servers. GameStack, I think they own Bink, which is like a physics or Havoc Physics, one of those, right?
Yeah.
I think Havoc Physics, right? So they're really into like the whole thing, and they also have so many different developers and publishing branches and stuff. So you really don't want to fuck with them in that terms, like not give them anything, unless it was like became extremely not worth it. Like we'll see some of the smaller companies and medium-sized companies, like the one that did Black Myth Wukong. They probably don't, they don't care. You know what I mean? But it's like you probably won't see. It probably won't be until quote unquote next gen until you see some of the bigger companies start to skip Xbox, and maybe Xbox's plan is ahead of that, and they're like, that's why you see all this PC stuff. I don't think they'll do Steam, but it wouldn't shock me if they did a Windows thing, right? Because that's them too. So hey, we can have Windows games that way. If people don't make their games for Xbox, people can get the Windows version, right? Like I think that's shitty that's them giving up on their own hardware completely as well. But it's like, that to them, that's probably the answer the question. It's like, oh, well, they could just get the Windows version. I don't want a fucking Windows version. You know what I mean? I like consoles because that shit's optimized for the console. I got to slide down and turn off my grass and turn off this and turn off that. It says, put in my game and I play.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
that's what I want.
Well, go ahead, Singer. I wanted to see if you spoke while I was away. I wasn't sure if I missed your segment.
No, I didn't. No. My theory is there had to have been a casualty this year. And it was either going to be The Outer Worlds 2 or Fable, because they were the two without release dates. Because The Outer Worlds 2, they said 2025. Fable, they said 2025. No date. Like, we knew Doom had a date. South of Midnight had a date. Avowed had a date. And then I was like, well, one of these two can't come out. And so they decided The Outer Worlds 2 would come out rather than Fable. And I was like, okay, cool, slash a casualty. Because you can't, like, from August onwards, you need to position Call of Duty around GTA 6. So let's say Rockstar says, oh, you plan Fable for November, right? But then GTA comes out in November. And then you're like, okay, let's release Call of Duty 2 weeks before GTA 6.
Yeah.
Because Call of Duty will Call of Duty anyway. And that's your main moneymaker. So you're like, okay, cool. Then you delay Avowed till next year, because GTA ain't coming out next year. And then I was like, well, would it be day and date? And then I thought about it. You would favor Gears over a Fable for a day and date release, because Gears is bigger than Fable. No debate.
Right.
Gears
I agree.
is a bigger IP.
Yes.
So you would want the Marcus Phoenix collection to come out. Then you'll want E-Day to come out. Boom. There we go. That'll make way more money than a Fable collection and the Fable reboot. That's just reality.
Yes.
So what I think they'll do is focus Gears, release E-Day, day and date, release Starfield, because that'll be a big game. And then Fable comes the year after, because Fable, on that totem pole, Fable is third, Starfield second, Gears first. And that's what I think they're going to do. And it makes the most sense you would want to do it that way, because it's like PlayStation will have like ghosts at the end of the year. Right?
So let me Singer, and I'm not going to put holes in it because I think what you're saying, it makes sense, and especially from a business standpoint. But the one conversation we were having, as you can see some of the footage up there from Obsidian right now with Avowed, but Obsidian has Avowed that's out now. Outer Worlds 2 is still slated for the end of this year, correct? Or you should say maybe somewhere between August and October, I would assume.
Yeah, it's going to be between Gears and not Gears. It's going to be between Doom and South of Midnight.
Okay,
it's going to be in between there.
Okay, I kind of saw it as Doom, South of Midnight, and then Outer Worlds.
Listen,
but
like for this year, like Microsoft has got to be careful, because not even thinking about Xbox stuff, but it's like Microsoft doesn't want to compete against themselves for Call of Duty or GTA 6.
Right.
So it's like, you got to be careful there. And they're already releasing on PlayStation. They're releasing Forza Horizon 5. They're releasing, Doom, Call of Duty. I know they got some other stuff. Well, Outer Worlds 2. Like, they've got to be careful with their PS5 releases not to get those around Call of Duty, because it'll cancel each other out. And same thing with GTA 6. Like, nobody wants to release. I don't think I would release anywhere near that. Not before, not after. So, like people are going to be all over that game. It's going to be like crack. You know what I mean? Like, I would, especially if I had a game, that was kind of mid-level or something along those lines, I would not even, I would push it back. So, like, I don't have a problem with Fable being delayed if it's to polish or to avoid GTA 6. But I would be significantly pissed if it's to get a day and date launch on PlayStation. Like, that is like a big fucking smack in the face.
Well,
that's the thing I don't think, because I remember Avowed. People were like, oh, they're delaying Avowed to release on PlayStation. No, they just delayed it because they made a better game. Because if it came out in 2024 like it was supposed to, you would have only had a 30 FPS mode. But when it came out, they had the 30, the 40, the 60. I think, like, they actually put work into making that shit get better. So I'm willing to give IDOS and give Playground time, because Playground make good games, and I'm willing to go out on a limb and say delay it, make it as good as it can be, because everyone wants a good Fable game. So
Hey,
okay, cool.
I agree. Hey, Mooch, but I can tell you this, Mooch, we were podcasting back in 2018 or so, and Phil Spencer was against single-player games at one point, but then he saw the success of, believe it or not, of
Horizon.
the first, Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's
and the Zelda game that came out, not the newest one, but the one before that. And that's when they started bringing back Fable.
Yep.
Like, that's a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Was.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So I have faith that it'll be a good game. I just personally would be kind of pissed off if they, don't give us Xbox fans a little something there for having announced it as an Xbox exclusive first, I mean, they already kind of got away with that with Outer Worlds 2 because they announced that as an Xbox exclusive.
Well, let me.
But people go, oh, well, the first one was on PlayStation, so it'll be okay. Like, they do little clever shit like that to kind of get past the people, and people will defend it and go, oh, it was never announced exclusive. You go back and watch that announcement; it fucking says Xbox exclusive, right? It's like it says what it is,
Right.
So it's like it is. It's like I understand everything's going to be coming to PlayStation, but it's like you fucking said this is exclusive. It better have some kind of exclusivity.
Well, you said so, Mag. I'll ask you the question. You've heard what Crap's saying, and Mag, I apologize as well as when my PC went down. I'm not sure if you had a chance to speak in there, but to be honest with you, you've got a situation right now where Fable's delayed. You've heard Deathsinger put out there the 3 or 4 different scenarios. I've mentioned it earlier too. Crap gave you his thought on it. Mag, my question with you is, Forza Horizon 5 now has a release date. I think it's April 29th, 25th, or 29th, okay, on PS5. It's going to be a PS5 Pro enhanced, confirmed to have the DualSense and the haptic support. The PlayStation's getting a better version of these games. Same thing's going to happen for Doom. At this point, I know a lot of people say, well, the console wars, that's fine. That's kind of goes without saying. But at this point, why doesn't Xbox just see? You had Singer say that they're not going to do day and date. That's not the reason for the push. I do see why with Avowed. Avowed was never going to be a system seller or really going to move Game Pass. Fable, not as big as Gears, Mag, but Fable's still Fable. Okay, Fable's still a household name in gamers' homes. People know what that is. Are we at a point right now? And I had this as one of the topics. Are we at a point, Mag, right now where after South of Midnight, it is just going to be day and date with every title coming forward for Xbox Studios?
Yes. So you're absolutely right. So now the reason why the games up to this point have not gone day and date is because Project Latitude was not implemented until late 2023. So as a result of that, the games that were already 80+% in development, they didn't have the means at that time to be able. I mean, they had the means, but they did not have the time to be able to go back and to be able to code for the PlayStation at that point, and the Switch too. So what happened is, what they did is they said, okay, well, these 3 or 4 titles, what we're going to do is we're going to stagger that release only for the reason of being able to play catch up. So what they did is they're like, let's get the game out for the Xbox and the PC. And then from there, that gives extra time for a portion of the team to be able to go back and then code for the PS5 and the PS5 Pro and the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is not getting all the games. It's going to be getting some of them. This year, look out for, for example, Call of Duty might be the first Call of Duty in years that the Switch will have on its system. But anyways, the point is that's why it's been happening in that way. There was no other reason. There's no other mystery. It's only because when Project Latitude was finally implemented in about November 2023, it was too late at that point, right? Because the games had moved on so far.
Right.
They're like, okay, we'll start getting into this, but they're going to be slightly delayed, and they're not happy with the idea. So now, that being said, let's get into Fable quickly. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. First of all, Crap's going to be pissed because exactly what he says, if it's because of that reason, I'm going to be pissed. Well, he's going to be pissed because that is exactly one of the reasons why.
I'm always pissed.
I know. It's one of 3 reasons. And actually, yeah, well, the closest was actually Deathsinger as to what's going on. So there are 3 reasons why this game got delayed. Number 1, scheduling, which is something that I had already known for months and months. Back in 2024, we already knew, well, a lot of people already talked about in the industry saying that Fable was not going to make 2025 for multiple reasons. One of the reasons was scheduling. Grand Theft Auto 6 holding the entire second half of this year hostage, basically for every publisher. And I've spoken to 2 publishers that are not outside of the Microsoft publishing studios, and they've said the same thing. They're extremely pissed off because Rockstar is basically, like I said, holding the second half of the year hostage, and it's driving people crazy because they're like, "Can you tell us the date,
please?"
Because we're holding on to AAA games and don't know where to put them. But now you're starting to see things take shape. And the reason why it's taking shape is because Take-Two has 3 games that are coming out in what we call, the high time of the year. It's basically the Super Bowl time of the year for gamers, which is basically September to December, right?
Right.
And it's the playoffs. Never mind Super Bowl. It's the playoffs. So you've got Mafia coming out late summer. You've got, which is Take-Two. You've got Borderlands, which is now September. That's Take-Two. Which, by all means, if they do not delay GTA 6 into 2026, then basically, it'll probably come out in October, would be my guess. Now, at that rate, Call of Duty, for example, so now let's look at the other side of the fence. Then you've got Call of Duty. Call of Duty has traditionally come out between October and November. Right, anywhere between
absolutely. That's right.
Like Veterans Day / Remembrance Day up here in Canada, November 11th. It used to come out on that day.
Yeah.
And then sometime in October. Now, if GTA 6 indeed comes out in October, they're not going to put Call of Duty out at the same time as that. They'll push it to November, which is no problem. Again, we are pretty used to either end of October, early November. Great. Give GTA 6 at least 3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer to breathe, get that game out of there. They still have Outer Worlds 2 that's going to be coming out there at some point. The fact that we're now walking into March and Sony has not announced a date for Ghosts of Yotei leads me to believe that it will not be in late spring like I had originally anticipated.
I thought late spring as well. That was my bet too.
That's what I was thinking. But now, if you start looking at the spider web here, you've got Doom the Dark Ages, which is going to be launching day and date on PlayStation. So now Sony, and of course you've got Forza Horizon 5. So now you've got end of April and May covered. Sure, they could release it in June, right? You could say, okay, well, we got Yotei in June. Maybe not, because now we got Microsoft that might be doing the Marcus Phoenix collection somewhere in the mix.
They're also doing Indiana Jones in May, supposedly.
That's right. Sorry, I was going to get to that too. So now you've basically filled out from the PlayStation side. You filled out April, May, June, right? So now you're like, do we do Yotei in July? Maybe, because at that point, July, August, the only game that's coming out of any merit is going to be Mafia 4. And even then, Mafia 4 is not a 10, 15, maybe 20 million selling title. It's a little bit, it's very popular. Obviously, I love the Mafia series.
I love that fucking series.
Great.
As a day one.
It's great.
Yeah, exactly. For us, it's a day one. I mean, it's practically an autobiography for us. But anyways, the thing is, they could put a Ghost of Yotei against that. Right? So now, as I'm painting this picture for everybody, you're like, well, shit, there's no room left. Where do you stick Fable? And this is where I get into the thing of like, this has become a Titanfall 2 situation, right? And then, of course, now I keep hearing from guys from the Xbox Game Studios are still telling me that, which I'm still on the fence about. I did a video about it and everything saying that it's coming, but I just, as a disclaimer, I said, I'm not sure about this. I still don't believe it, but I'm still being assured that Gear Z-Day is coming 2025. And as a result of that, if you do have that somewhere in the mix between September and December now at this point, now you have to look at this and say, well, where the hell do we put Fable, which is supposed to be their Last of Us kind of sized AAA, you know what I mean? Banger kind of game that's going to be coming out. I'm not saying it's the same game. I'm just saying it's like that level of quality that it looks like it's going to be. Then where do you put that? That's number one. So and that's what I always said from day one. I kept telling everybody, I go, guys, there's no room for this. And you're going to want to give that game room.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you got a new God of War, if you got a new Gears or whatever you got releasing, you want to give it some room to breathe. And as a result, you don't want to shove it in between 9 games that are coming out between late August and December. This doesn't make any sense for PlayStation. It doesn't make any sense for Xbox. So they got to push it out. That being the case, let's move on to the other reason. The other reason is, as I had already heard for people that were developing the game, is that they were working, the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro version of Fable was always slated for 2026. It was never slated for 2025. Now, I do know that some people are not happy over in that camp with the idea of the delayed release. Like, for example, Indy Jones, and then, 6 months later, they're going to get it over there. Forza Horizon doesn't really count because that had come out years ago. They're talking about the ones that didn't make the cutoff for Project Latitude. So if you look at this situation now Now they're looking at it. You got Indiana Jones coming. I think what happens is you have to redevelop the hype for a game that's already kind of done with. A lot of people have already played it, either enjoyed it or not, or whatever. It's up to them. They've seen the game. It's already been there. Everybody's put it through its paces or whatever. By the time it comes out on PlayStation, it's kind of almost feels like a has-been at that point. They're like, well, we've already seen it. We've already done it. I've already tried it. Maybe I dabbled on Game Pass. I saw other people playing it, this and that. And then people don't have the same interest. What happens here is that for maximum impact, what you want to do is release a day and date on PlayStation. And the reason for that, because if Fable heading into that with that AAA budget and the big thing, whatever, and it looked great from what I saw from that footage.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's a fantastic game. It gets a huge Metascore, blah, blah, blah. You want that momentum going into the purchase of that weekend. You want that FOMO to kick in. You don't want that FOMO to be there and then you release it on the biggest console, which is PlayStation at this point, 6 months after the fact. Because then by then, people will go off and play it somewhere else. You want to release it there day and date. You got people in Game Pass, people on PC. You're going to get people on Steam and whatever else. And then you're going to have people buying it on PlayStation. This is a monster move, and it has to be done because this is a flagship title for them. This is one that they're going to have to take advantage of, and that's exactly the other reason why. So the other reason why was, yes, to simultaneously release on there. The other one was, which I did hear from somebody inside the camp, is saying that they needed to make room for another AAA game that was already coming out in late 2025, which, of course, is going to be most likely Gears E-Day. So that being the case, there's your answer. And, of course, scheduling problems. So you got 3 reasons as to why this got pushed out. I'm out of breath.
Hey, listen.
That makes sense because right now there are currently 7 Xbox titles that are showing up and are on the back end of the PlayStation Store. And so 4 of them so far, because you got the one that we didn't point out was Expeditions 33. That was, I believe, Microsoft's publishing that or doing something with it. That releases April 25th. Then you got Forza Horizon 5, April 29th. You have Indiana Jones. It's going to be in May. You have Doom. It's going to be in May.
Yep.
And then, one of them I know specifically is the collection. It just hasn't been announced yet. I think, from my understanding, and I think Tom Henderson kind of alluded to it, he thought it was going to be at the Developer Direct, and it wasn't there.
No, it wasn't going to be a Developer Direct. Yeah, for most of us, we knew it was Ninja Gaiden was going to be the game.
Yeah,
but it looks like look to as Gandalf says, look to the east. Look to the June showcase to see more reveals about what's coming up for the second half of the year in terms of Gears, Marcus Phoenix, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Caleb Pratt in the chat said something interesting, and this is something I actually want to jump on for just a second. He says the average gamer buys 2 to 3 games a year. I actually would say that it's even lower than that. That they say on average it's 1.5 games a year purchased by the average console system owner, which is insanely low. So now, if you think about all these games that are coming out, you're already crowding everybody's basically jostling for position to be able to not only make return on investment, but also to make profit on top of this. You can't keep shoveling every game on top of each other and hope for the best. It's not going to work that way because even the hardcore are not going to be able to keep up with all this. It's insanity because some other people in the chat, as I'm reading, I forgot about Metal Gear on top of all this.
Yeah, Metal Gear is coming out too.
You've got Metal Gear. Call of Duty I mentioned.
And Borderlands.
But the Borderlands. Well, I mentioned Borderlands and Mafia because as it stands, Take-Two has got Borderlands, Mafia, and GTA 6 possibly all coming out basically within a 3-month period. So where do you stick a game like that? You want people to buy the game.
This is an interesting year. This is an interesting year when you guys list all those games, to be honest with you. And we don't even know what's going on. We haven't heard anything about what's going to happen possibly with Marathon. You say Ghost of Yote. We haven't heard anything. Death Stranding 2. This year's stacked.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Meg.
This is a question. This is a very interesting one. As PlayStation is now enjoying the fruits of their victory, so to speak, if you want, in terms of market domination on the console side of things, you look at that and you say, do they even need to release a game?
No.
I'm just being silly, but I'm just saying, do they even really need to?
That's a good question.
They've got so many and the funny thing is, a lot of people think there's a console war going on, this and that, the Xbox and the ponies and this and that. You know, they all laughing at us, right? Because I speak to people who work in the boardrooms. They laugh. Seeds, you know, they laugh at this stuff. While gamers are throwing their pizza pockets at the screen when I'm saying something and pissing them off, or Astro Jerkbot over there, Cyborg, clips me for one reason or another every time I do a podcast. Right? Clip this, Astro, as I'm grabbing my crotch. Anyways, the thing is that these guys laugh at this because you know what's happening right now? Let's say Sony has a slower point of the year, right? Or slower time. They don't have any exclusives coming out. They don't have any third-party deals, whatever else. They're literally being supplied by Xbox with games that are coming out on the system that's going to make them a ton of money. Do you think Xbox cares? No.
No.
Does PlayStation care? No. Does the average gamer care? No. They just know that they're getting games. They're getting quality games. It's hilarious to think that people are arguing and fighting and clipping and this and that. For what? They're all making a ton of money, and they're all running to the bank and laughing about it, and they're all supplying each other and basically keeping each other afloat. It's actually quite remarkable that this has actually become this entire business has become more integrated than ever now. And it's really funny to see people who don't see the big picture. They don't understand what's going on. Like I even said it on XNC when I was there with Colt. I said, I'm buying Doom. I'm playing Doom on Game Pass as well. I got it. But I'm also going to be buying it on the PS5 for my wife because we game share, right? So do you think Phil Spencer gives a shit if I buy a copy of it on PlayStation? Does he go, goddamn pony? No, he made 70% for nothing. He made a 70%.
They get their 30% and they can go and buy more exclusives for their fans.
Well, which they do. So they make a 70% publisher fee for doing nothing.
They do, but Microsoft isn't gonna do anything for their fans or their owners. With that money, they're just gonna,
Yeah. See what's happening.
So I agree with you. I agree with you in part of that, but right. I do think the PlayStation branch wants Xbox gone.
Well, I don't think they want them gone.
The console gone. They're fine with the publishing, right? But I think they're going to continue. They don't want that Xbox. They want to be the only option because when you're in the store. Yeah, when you're the only option.
Listen, crap. There's someone in the chat. Shout out to Erodimus. He's been I've known him for a very long time, and he says, if Sony doesn't make any first party games, why own the system where it costs more? Erodimus, I don't know how to tell you this. People don't mind. And I think everyone's wallets have spoken. They don't mind buying games. Yeah. I don't know why that's still a hard concept for some folks to get their mind wrapped around.
Also, if we're being honest, most of the people buy PlayStation because that's where their friends play Warzone and Fortnite, etc., etc.
Well, those games definitely.
The majority play. The majority play that. Let's keep it 100. Like out of the exclusives. You sell like 20 million copies and you have 100 million consoles. The other 80 million are playing Fortnite. Like I was talking to my friend's nephew, right? I asked him, why did you have a PlayStation? Oh, because I want to play Fortnite with my friends. Right there, sold a console just because he wants to play Fortnite with his friend. Does he care about Spider-Man? Maybe. Does he care about Last of Us? Probably not. But does he want to still play Fortnite? And there we go. There's your console sale. Because your friends aren't playing on Xbox. They're playing on PlayStation. So you want a PlayStation to play with your friends.
Yeah, we're a fraction.
I did want to speak on that, though. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Nib's here, everybody. What's up, Nib?
Yeah, I think a lot of people fail to realize, like, we are the 0.00001% of the gaming community. Majority of the gaming community works 9 to 5 or some other hour. They come home, get their kids put to bed, they jump on and play what little time that they have, and they're okay with buying games. We've seen that because PlayStation has sold 75 million consoles. People on PlayStation do not mind buying their games, and now they're going to buy Xbox games. There is no more of this, Xbox versus PlayStation. Like that doesn't exist anymore. It's, and Mag will tell you, like the industry that I work in, I get a unique opportunity to be within some of the C-suite side with it when it comes to some of the data center stuff. And they are not this notion that PlayStation is buying up third-party deals for their fans is just not accurate. They're buying it up to increase their profit. So is it rewarding fans in a sense? Yes, but they're doing it because if Xbox can't get it, they make more money. So I think this notion that we kind of talk about, well, they do it for their fans. They do it for the fans. They do not give a shit about fans. PlayStation
100%.
or Xbox, they do not care about fans. You are a consumer and they want your money. And the ways that Microsoft has seen, how can we capitalize on making up for this almost $100 billion we've spent? We're going to take it to an ecosystem where they buy games and we can still have Game Pass and increase our users and stuff like that. But we're going to take it somewhere because we need to make money and we need to make a shit ton of money to be able to make up for this. And so this notion that they do it for their fans, it's just not realistic. They do it to make money. That's it.
And the thing is, sorry, Nib, we're just jumping on this. We're going to finish it up, and you can have the mic. The thing is that at the end of the day, they've realized that. Why do you think Microsoft accounting took over? You think that was an accident after the ABK deal, and all of a sudden you've got Satya jumping in there and Amy Hood jumping in there, and all of a sudden they're the ones calling the shots now? There's a reason for that. That is exactly what Detective Seeds was talking about. And now the thing is, you're going to see Game Pass, by the way, is going to be increased yet again. And the thing is, at the end of the day, their focus now is on the software. The focus is on the software because they're going to make a ton of money. And then once ABK went through, that's when Project Latitude was brought in, and they said, okay, we are now about to become a full third-party publisher because they're seeing what Tencent is doing. I called that from a long time ago. I said they're going to be the Western Tencent, and then they're going to make a ton of money off of that. So their focus has to be quality software at this point. The hardware part, I know you guys talked about it at the beginning of the show. They're going to make it based on demand. Okay, so what they're going to do is they're not looking to focus. They're not fighting against Sony or Switch 2 or the PS6 or whatever else. They're going to, because you're still going to have that 10 to 12%, maybe even 15% of the hardcore that's going to buy an Xbox no matter what, right? Because that's their avenue to be able to play those games. It doesn't, everybody can say, oh, just go buy a PC. Well, yeah, go ahead and buy a $3,000 PC when you can go buy a $700 console.
Right.
That can almost, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. But the point is that that's an avenue for them to be, to be able to get them to the games. Fine. So they'll still cater to the 10 to 12%. So if they sold, let's say, 30 million now, let's say by the end of the generation, they sell 35 million. Okay. Next generation, their projections will probably be sitting around 20 million. They'll say, okay, well, we'll probably get 20 million this generation because at that point, and then they what they do, and then they make 10 million to start off, and then they start basing on pre-sales and of course and on interest on it. They will make as they go. By the way, another thing that both companies are done with is losing money, and so they will make the console based on demand and charge accordingly so that every console makes profit. Now they're not doing it to make profit; they're just doing it to not lose money. So you look at all those things, and that is what's happening. So if you see and understand what's happening in this market, you'll see that I think that all of us here listening to this show, and anybody in this chat, and anybody who listens to the show after the fact, I say it on my show, I say it on Colt's show, and I'm saying it right here now. You are a consumer. Stay a consumer and take care of yourself. Make sure that you are happy with the product because it's money in our pockets. All right. Do you see me going out and fighting with someone about a toaster? I bought a GE toaster. Yours is shit. And then you're fighting about toasters. No, I'm looking for the best quality for the best, for the best price. I'm not looking for anything else. You should do the same with gaming.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, it's funny. So I'll piggyback off that real quick, Mag, real quick, and then I'll give it to you, Seeds, and I'll hear what Nib has to say as well. But so I agree with you, and I think your statement as far as us watching our own wallets is first and foremost, right? Consumer first. But I will say the discussion at hand right now is it's not about the toasters anymore and GE versus Whirlpool or whatever, or anyone's going to make any other product. The thing about it is right now you have a situation where all games are going to be on the PlayStation 5 right now, and maybe even seemingly to a certain degree on the Switch too. So I think at this point right now, when you're talking about it, and I only caught part of what Seeds was saying about doing it for the fans. Of course, they're doing everything to make money. I mean, they are a corporation. But they are also doing it because at the end of the day, if you have somebody who's just a Final Fantasy fan, and they walk into GameStop and they don't listen to podcasts and they don't have their ear to the ground. They don't watch IGN. They don't watch any of this stuff. And they just say, hey, where are the Final Fantasy games? I'm going to pick up an Xbox. So, no, Final Fantasy games this generation, they're locked. They're all going to be, they're on PlayStation. So in essence, it is to the fans in a sense. Of course, it ends up being business. It's money. But you will attract that fan to purchase that said console. And while they're there, they'll also make other purchases on the storefront.
Exactly. And I see what Thrash is saying in here. I don't know what business you're in, but you spend money to get exclusive access, not to make your quote unquote fans happy. You do it to make that exclusive money. So that's why they do it. We can put the fan word on it if we want to make it sound better. Like, hey, they brought Final Fantasy. I'm going to buy a PlayStation. That's awesome. But PlayStation wants you to buy more than just that Final Fantasy, right? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
They are with the notion of you becoming a consumer of more than just that third party. So they're not doing it for the quote unquote fan. Like they're not a sports team that, they barely even will put stuff out to talk to you, right? Like people get all pissed off because they don't do updates and stuff. You might be a fan of that game, but PlayStation, SIE, they see you as a consumer. They go out and get these third party deals, not because they think you're a fan. They do it because they want you to buy their hardware and then turn you into a consumer. That's how business works. So I don't know what business he's in, but when in the business that I'm in, we do exclusive deals because we want you to put our product into your automation line to where you're going to buy more of our product to support more of your automation lines and more of your infrastructure.
So
that's why they
Nib, Seeds, I don't mean to cut you up, but I want to get Nib in here. And I did want to switch over to another subject shortly. Nib, did you have a comment on this? Because we kind of went from Fable delayed into a few other things. So go ahead, Nib. Good to have you.
Yeah, no, I did. It was just the whole exclusives thing. So it's an interesting conversation that always comes up, and I often hear people say, oh, people are buying these consoles predominantly for multi-platform games. But it's not really true based on if you go by average quantity of releases. So we actually have the data from PlayStation, right? Thankfully, and Nintendo, they break down their first-party sales, third-party sales, etc. And for example, in the last fiscal year, 14% of their total software sales were first-party, and in the previous fiscal year, 17%. And the previous year to that 20%, right? So let's just say between 14 and 20% of their total software sales are first party. The reason that's a really interesting metric is because only 1.84% of the total library is actually first party. Remember, this doesn't include third party exclusivity, only first party exclusives, right? I believe there's 3,000 something games available on the PS5, and I believe 70 of them are first party. So 1.84% of the library is first party, yet they count for 17, 20%, etc. of the total software sales, right? So they have massive overexposure for the actual volume of the library that they constitute. And obviously it's much bigger on the Nintendo side. It's, I think, 70 to 80% of their software sales are first party. So even though there's a, yes, multi-platform games like Call of Duty or whatever, they may be the biggest selling, and they may have the most engagement in terms of the sort of constant play because they're multiplayer type games, whereas single player games, etc., you're not expected to play constantly and reoccurringly. Actually, in terms of sales, we can see that an increasing portion of the PlayStation consumer base is actually buying their games for exclusives. And actually, if you look at the breakdown of sales per amount of volume of releases they constitute, exclusives actually sell way better than multi-platform games. Because yes, Call of Duty is the best-selling game, but it's one of 150 to several hundred releases that year that are multi-platform. We just don't really talk about most of them because most of them don't sell very much. Whereas that first-party exclusive or that third-party exclusive, whatever, will be one of say a dozen or something, and yet they'll be charting, right? So obviously, if 4 games out of 12 or 5 games out of 12 chart, whereas maybe say 10 games out of 300 chart. In reality, the first party games and the exclusives are selling much higher based on the volume of releases that they make up. And then the final thing I was going to point out is, again, when you hear like, oh, Call of Duty, they're buying it for this, they're buying it for that. But remember, exclusives and games in general, they're cumulative in nature. So, for example, let's just take 2024, right? Maybe only 4 people bought Astrobot. I'm talking about the whole of 2024. I know it sold 1.5 million in you know, like a month and a half or something. We now know that Black Myth Wukong sold over 5 million copies.
That's right.
On
PS5.
Yeah, and I think 42% of initial Helldivers 2 sales were PlayStation. So if we take the 11 million figure, that's like 5 million. But obviously, it would have carried on selling throughout the year. That they were early releases. So let's just say another 7 million. I'm being conservative. In reality, it could be higher than that on PlayStation, right? So you take 5 million, over 5 million from Black Myth Wukong, over 7 million for Helldivers 2. Let's add another 4 to 5 million for Spider-Man 2. I'm just going with all the ones that tried. Let's say another 3 to 5 million for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Then you've got Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Stellar Blade. All these games tried, right? If you actually look at all the PlayStation exclusives and console exclusives that charted, taking PlayStation only sales, just in of the top sort of few releases, you're looking at roughly 40 million in sales, right? And the thing with like a Call of Duty and a FC Football and FIFA or whatever, yes, they may sell between 16 and 30 million per annum, but that's across all platforms, right? Historically, maybe only 13 to say 17, pushing it, say 24 million of those sales would be on PlayStation specifically, right? So again, look at it cumulatively. Maybe not every one of the 70 million or 50 million at the time PlayStation owners is interested in Astrobot, but then a smaller percentage is going to be interested in Celebrate. Then another percentage is going to be interested in Black Myth Wukong. Then another percentage is going to be interested in Spider-Man 2, and so on and so on. It's cumulative. So what happens is with all these exclusives, you are branching out and increasing your reach to a wider and wider demographic of consumers.
Yeah.
So just because one doesn't appeal to all of them, the next one might, the next one after that might, and the next one after that might. So they still bring in wider and wider consumers, which people don't realize, right? They think, oh, Astrobot sold 4 million, so how could it appeal to many? But then you're forgetting the 10 other console exclusives that charted on PlayStation that year, just in that 1 year, even though they constituted a tiny portion of the releases. So again, like I think like people need to realize that data consistently shows, if you can actually break down the data and the nuance of it, that actually people are buying these consoles for the exclusives. They really are.
Yeah.
And exclusives are far exceeding the amount of actual the quantity of releases that they make up. I mean, look throughout this year, 11 console exclusives on PlayStation charted. And they're, could people even name 11 consoles?
Well, and I won't even talk about the actual revenue, but not the profits. I mean, but the revenue they're making off of that is superior to that on third party, right?
So,
I mean, I would assume they're making
exactly. So I was going to say the final point. Sorry, I'm blabbering. Is another good thing, sort of for consumers. Let's just say, on the perspective of first party exclusives, especially, is first party exclusives are subsidized, right? Why can a game that is only releasing on one platform have a 300 million budget like Spider-Man 2? Or a 250 million budget like Last of Us 2. Most multi-platform games don't even have that kind of budget, right? It's because they understand, one, they're getting an additional 30% revenue. They get 100% of the revenue from that game. And two, they are, in a sense, sort of marketing incentive, right? For people to buy the system, and therefore not every single purchase they make gets 30% towards PlayStation. So they're kind of like a long-term investment. PlayStation isn't saying, oh, I need to invest X amount of money to sell X amount of copies, because that is not the only criteria that they're considering. If you manage to, if they, even a handful of people, or a few thousand or 100,000 people buy a PlayStation 5 because of X exclusive, they are getting 30% from that consumer for the rest of the generation on every single purchase that they make, on every single microtransaction. So the cost, the ROI is so different for an exclusive for a platform than it is a multi-platform publisher. Therefore, PlayStation is willing to spend that extra money because Spider-Man 2 isn't just making them whatever money Spider-Man 2 is making, say the 350, 400, 500 million profit. If people are buying a PlayStation 5 for it, which they are, we can see it's still charting. It charted through 2003 and 2024 in the top 20 best-selling games of the year. Then yeah, they're drawing people to the platform and making potentially hundreds of dollars revenue from them. So the ROI will always be different from exclusive, and we need to stop looking at it as just like, oh, it cost this much and it made this much. Okay, but how many people did it draw to the platform, and how much did those people who it drew to the platform spend on microtransactions and games? Well, guess what? PlayStation gets 30% of that too.
Shout out to Nike in the chat. He goes, okay, Nib, we get it. Nib, there will be a test next week, though. I hope you guys were all paying attention.
When he was throwing out numbers, I felt like that meme where he had from the Hangovers. Got the trigonometry problems in his from.
Yeah, Nib has every statistic in front of him. It's unbelievable. I absolutely love it. So, Detective Seeds, I want to give you a chance to rebuttal here, but King Thresh, and I'll get to the super chats here. King Thresh says, shout out to King, by the way. He says the purpose of third-party exclusives or exclusive, pardon me, or exclusive DLC to get the edge on attracting fans. If you aren't a fan of the game, then it won't attract you. The whole strategy is based in creating and attracting fans. So I know you were going to talk, Seeds, so go ahead and take the mic for a second.
I just want to make this very clear. It's okay to be a fan. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is they do the third-party deal. Let's say Final Fantasy. Right? They do that to attract a Final Fantasy fan to buy into the ecosystem. They then turn that fan into a consumer because that Final Fantasy quote unquote fan may go, you know what? I've never really liked God of War. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. Or, hey, I've never really played Spider-Man.
Exactly.
I'm going to go buy it. Then you become a consumer. So that's
it's
business.
To get you to the store.
It's to get you into the store.
All it is to get you. It's to attract you.
Into the
Thrash is half right. You're half right.
That's why they go out and do that.
Right. The game is to attract you first and foremost. Right. You're like, ooh, look at that. That looks like fun, and then you go out and buy it. Right. But that's when PlayStation goes, got your ass.
Yep.
Like that guy from the show.
Guess
anyway,
what else we got?
And that's what they do because now you're in the store. And now you're in the store and go, well, what else is here? Or you know what? I play Fortnite here now because I got this console. So now I'm going to buy my skins. PlayStation gets a cut of the skin. They get a cut of the DLC. They get a cut of the
They don't care what you buy. They get money either way. they literally don't care.
Exactly. What did I say on this very show the last time I was here, which was like not even a month ago or about a month ago? And I said the same thing about Amazon. Do you think Amazon gives a rat's ass about how Reach or Season 3 does? No. They just want to know that someone out there goes, ooh, I like the first 2 seasons. I'm going to go watch that over here. But then the next time you get a hole in one of your socks, you're going to be buying it on Amazon because you're already an Amazon Prime member.
Yeah.
It's just to get you to the store. So
I think it's funny because I think we're using. Well, you had Mag say that they're both half right. I think they're both saying the same thing.
Not half right.
No, but Mash.
You're both right.
Mash is they're both right. Is what I'm saying. Mash actually, shout out to Mash. He says I think it's disingenuous to say people buy a specific console for third-party multi-plat. Yes, most of the games they play are, but they pick based on first party since third party mostly goes everywhere. I do think that what you're saying turns into consumer. That's fine. You can say that, but that consumer is still a fan of exclusive titles on that said platform.
And that's fine. But
right. See,
the exclusives differentiate it, right?
Because PlayStation's ultimate goal is they don't care about a fan. They want you to be a consumer.
Seeds, can I ask you a question? See how you said PlayStation doesn't care if you're a fan?
Yeah.
What if I replaced PlayStation with Xbox?
Say that again.
What if you replaced PlayStation with Xbox? Xbox doesn't care if you're a fan. They're putting their games everywhere.
They don't care if you're a fan.
And they're clear on that. They're clear on that.
They just want money.
That's crystal.
If they just want money, why doesn't PlayStation put their games on Xbox?
Well, because they
get more money by keeping you in a walled garden.
Exactly.
And so why doesn't Microsoft?
Right. So why doesn't Microsoft? Right.
Their game
Microsoft's walled garden isn't big enough.
Well, to be honest, the walled garden is coming down.
Isn't big enough.
As you can see, they're pushing to PC because, quite frankly, there are more PC gamers than there are console gamers in the majority. You could combine every single person, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox, and it would
I'm really
still
glad-
overall be less than.
I mean, look, the PC
I'm
stuff
really
is
glad you brought that up. No,
is kind
I'm
of
really glad you brought that up, right?
insignificant,
Yeah, I'm
that's
really
an
glad you brought
untapped
that up, though,
market.
right?
That is an untapped market for PlayStation.
But here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with that, right? Death Singer. They've been doing PC date releases since what 2016, right? With Quantum Break, I think. Was
Yeah,
the
Quantum
first
Break was
one.
the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil
So
Spencer.
2016, right? Guess what? Since they've let's just go with the whole install base sort of conversation that a lot of the sort of Xbox fandom love, right? So according to Phil Spencer, there's 650 million PC gamers. According to Steam, there's like 137 million, and I think there's 75 million on Epic Game Store. But anyway, let's just round it up and say there's 200 million, just for argument's sake. So take 200 million and then say another 100 million for Xbox. Obviously, it's Xbox Series and Xbox One, right? So on the PC side, every time you're releasing a game, it's like to 300 plus million install, right? And yet, do you know, since they've done day and date PC, they've had considerably less charting sales performance than they ever had in historically. So even releasing to a higher and larger install has made diddly squat impact to their sales, because one, it doesn't matter what your total install is, it only matters what your active install is. What are the actual consumers that are interested in that product from that install? Because you could have an install like Game Pass is available to technically like 2.5 billion, 3 billion people. It's available on Amazon sticks and mobile phones, and yet there's 35 million subs, and 25 million of them are like Ultimate. Right, the others are Xbox Live Hangover. So again, the total install is kind of irrelevant. It's active install that matters. And with Xbox in particular, that PC side of things hasn't made a difference. And in fact, Game Pass has cannibalized sales. Right?
I was talking about PlayStation, not Xbox. See, I was talking about PlayStation. I wasn't talking about Xbox.
No, but the question was why doesn't PlayStation do what Xbox is doing, right? That's the question. Because PlayStation is already making far more money bringing you into that walled garden, right? Because not only can they, like we said before, they can subsidize their games to be higher and higher quality to keep more and more people into that walled garden, which benefits consumers because they get higher production games. But also, every time you're in that walled garden, you spend that 30% cut and they get money from it, right? Whereas, again, Xbox is only kind of expanding their multi-platform release, whatever strategy, because their walled garden is simply not making them enough money. That's the numbers of it, right? If their games sold more and could recoup the costs, and if Game Pass was not cannibalizing sales in the way it is, if their games charted in the way that PlayStation and Nintendo games do, they wouldn't be doing this really. But they just need that extra revenue because now they have 37 studios they need to pay for.
Well, then that comes back to PlayStation still releasing more so now than they ever did. And it was, it's like, oh, people thought it wouldn't happen, but here we are, God of War's on PC, Spider-Man's on PC, etc. And sure, they come later. But that cadence is picking up steam, and it's untapped money potential, because let's be 100%. You're not going to convince the vast majority of the PC base to come over, retire their $3,000 PC or whatever they have, to pick up a $700 console.
Less than 1% of the PC gamer base has a $3,000 PC, though.
Well,
I think it's like 0.3%.
But also, for the most part, it's like a big market is China. But unfortunately, China they have their own service, which people don't talk about.
Let me ask you a question, right? Because obviously I've had this conversation with PC gamers all the time, like Alex and Yeah, so I always say to them, they always tell me nobody from PC is moving over, even though PlayStation executives themselves, Nishino and Herman Holst and what's his name, Sean Layden, they literally tell us, no, we are bringing people from PC over, and then PC gamers say, no, they're not bringing anyone from over. I would rather believe PlayStation, right? But let's just take one data point. So in the last quarter, 9.5 million PS5s were sold. According to PlayStation, 42% of those 9.5 million in a single quarter went to sales of people who have never owned a PlayStation, right? 42%, almost half, and it constitutes to 4 point something million, right? Now, let me ask you, where do you think that 4 point something million consumers who are completely new to PlayStation, where do you think they came from? Do you think they are all completely new to gaming? Or do you think there's a possibility some came from Xbox, some came from PC, some
Yeah,
came from Nintendo?
some came from. The majority probably came from Xbox, and then
Yeah,
some
I
came
would
from
agree.
PC, and then
Exactly.
it may be some from Nintendo even switched over because as
They
good
only
as the
need
Switch
some.
is, like there's always cross pollination, but it's like for the vast majority though, if you want, like I can see why they're doing it because you can make so much money off releasing your games on the PCs, which is a market the PlayStation typically didn't involve themselves
But
with.
can't you lose a bunch of money like through the illegal downloads? I think I saw something like Spider-Man 2 had like half a million seeders on it within like one day or something. Like that's people stealing their product.
But you also have to remember that is a vast tiny minority of the PC player base. Like, people think piracy is so absolutely fucking massive. It's really not that big of an issue. It's like there is a subset that does it, and they do nothing but that. But then there's a subset that buys all their games. But then there's a subset that will always wait for a sale because Steam will have their annual sales. So it's kind of sure you could release them on PC, but you would make more money. Like even if you sold 2 million on Steam, for example, let's say God of War sold 2 million on Steam, right? That's just pure cash for PlayStation. They're like, how much did the port take? I don't know, chump change, and you just made 2 million sales. That's 2 million sales you wouldn't have got on PlayStation.
But let me ask you this: Would you rather have, let's go off that 2 million? Would you rather have 500,000 converted over to buy into your ecosystem, or would you rather just make that one sale on 2 million?
Well, you'd rather them come over, but
exactly.
you still have
to
convince
the other
them
thing
to come over.
that this is something that I said years ago. That still holds water in my opinion is this: like if you're Sony, you've got a stranglehold on the console market because Microsoft can't get out of their own way, so you have no competition there. Nintendo does their own thing, but you also have to be careful because you don't want to have a world where you can get all the Xbox and all the PlayStation stuff on a PC. Like I would think if you're Sony, you want to avoid that. So I would like personally, I wouldn't surprise me to see them pull back some on that, especially since they changed leadership. Now I don't know what they're going to do. At some point, costs will come down, and and some things will happen like that. Like they're still making money despite the fact that they canceled 9 games and lost they released Concord or whatever. So I mean, I think they'll go back into a regular cadence of making real good money. And the thing is, right? And I brought this up because people, and I'm not even a PlayStation guy, but people go, oh, well, what's Sony got? I go, well, they do got a couple things probably planned this year, but it's crazy to release anything around GTA. So either they will or they won't. But we're coming up on 4 years since the last Horizon game and the last God of War game. And if you go by the cadence, 2018, right, to 2022, 2022 to 2026, like right around that time, we're due for some announcements for games at the very least. Coming from those studios, and so there was also a Venom game.
A lot recently.
There was also a Venom game that leaked from Insomniac. Supposedly, it's like a standalone game. It was like that Miles Morales game. Like supposedly, it's going to be like a $50 game or whatever in the 10 or 12-hour range. But I mean, they've got stuff, and at some point, they'll get back on track and start making the big money off the exclusive stuff again. Like I know people that bought, that are console gamers that bought a PlayStation 5 for Helldivers too, right? Like I mean that it could be something like that even that really pushes it, or like Black Myth Wukong sold, 5-6 million on PlayStation alone. That's not available on any other console, right? Like that stuff. I think that stuff matters, and I think that Sony obviously. Microsoft somewhere must know that this stuff matters because they locked in a contract for Stalker 2 to be exclusive for a certain amount of time. And if you look at if I were to say, hey, Mooch, what's the best-selling game on Xbox 360?
Best-selling game on Xbox 360 was probably Halo.
No, it's Minecraft.
Minecraft.
And they had,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, I thought you meant.
had,
I'm sorry. I thought you meant first party back then. My apologies.
Well, I mean, listen. You know the reason why it sold so well was because they bought console exclusivity for that for a year, right? Like, I mean, and that game sold like 25 million units on 360. Remember? It was, I don't know if you remember it as much as I do, but it was like it was a big deal because Minecraft was everywhere.
It's a big deal. Absolutely.
People wanted to play it on the console, and so they got. And we don't see that anymore. Yeah, now it's like
I used to
think,
do.
man.
It sounds sad, but I used to do like a E3 stay over with mates and like cousins and stuff. Because not all of them are even into gaming that much, but those shows were fun to watch, grab some takeaway and just chill, you know, like and it is a shame that we don't get that anymore. I really hate this kind of.
Me and Mooch would podcast all day on E3. It was like a thing. We'd be because everybody was doing it. We'd cover the Xbox show, the PlayStation show, even the Nintendo stuff, the EA stuff, the Ubisoft stuff. We'd just be on the air all day, you know, talking about it. Like, and we'd even help other podcasts. We'd jump all around. My ass was like dead by the end of the day. But it was like that was so much fun to do that, and I miss the big spectacle.
So,
that, you know what I mean?
So let me say this real quick, guys. I apologize. You guys are doing such a great job. I did tell the guys to keep going. PC crashed again, guys. So we lost about 3 minutes there. I apologize, but this is a me problem. There's something I have to do repair. I'll talk to the great Death Singer before the show, after the show. He'll probably troubleshoot the whole thing for me and solve it. But here's the thing. I do want to move on to a couple subjects real quick, if you guys don't mind. Singer, I'll let you finish your point. But I did want to do a quick speed round because I'm going to wrap up at 9:00 Eastern here because I got to fix this problem. It's interesting because when a PC crashes, it would just shut down, right? Everything just shuts down. What's very odd about this is my monitors shut down. The PC itself is completely lit. The GeForce RTX, everything's lit up. The fans, everything is going just like everything is normal. It resets itself and then it starts right back up, which is why, even though there's a delay in the show, we don't lose the show because it's still running.
What's wrong with it?
Tell me, Seeds.
It's an Xbox now.
Oh, jeez. There we go. Bum. Listen.
That's getting clipped and getting
Where's
shit
that
on
drum
for sure.
sound?
Right? Go ahead, Death Singer, and then we'll move to another subject real quick.
Oh, I was just going to say, this when Crap said they might pull back from it, the thing is, Hiroki Totoki told you what was up. It's like, that's why, if you take it at face value, as he said, in the past, we wanted to popularize console, main purpose was to make the console popular. But then he's like, but there's a synergy to it. If you have strong first-party content, not only on your console, but also other platforms, like computers, a first-party game can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profit to improve. So that's what we want to proactively work on. But then he's like, there are other opportunities to improve the profit margin, so I'd aggressively want to improve our margin. Now, if you want to improve your margin, there is an entire player base out there that is an Xbox or Nintendo that, you know, don't really compete with you. Go increase your profits there because they're willing to buy your games if you give your games to them.
Or they could stand pat and get all the millions of Xbox gamers that are going to switch to the platform in the next couple of years. I mean, that's what I would do.
I mean, some of them might move to PC, though.
Maybe, but I think PlayStation is going to... If PlayStation keeps their exclusives, I don't see why people wouldn't, if you're a console gamer, just go to PlayStation. I think the next PlayStation, or even this one, right? They could be back into that PlayStation 2 era of dominate, like 150 million. And that's I'm not even a PlayStation guy, but I'm just saying, who the fuck is going to buy anything else? It doesn't make sense if you're a console gamer to buy anything else.
But that's the interesting thing, right? Because we got 75 or whatever, 70 something million PlayStation 5 owners now. And it's crazy because over 1/3 of them, according to PlayStation, never owned a PlayStation. So a lot of the PS4 customers haven't even switched over yet. I assume with price drops with GTA 6, etc., they'll come over, right? But really, we're at a stage where PlayStation has made the most profit they've ever made in any generation ever. And again, I'm going by the data, more profit this generation than they made in every single other generation combined when you account for PlayStation 3 losses. And they still haven't transitioned most people over. So whatever strategies they are employing and this staggered release, with PC, again, they keep saying it's going to draw people over to PlayStation. I assume it must be working because such large portions of the PlayStation 5 user base never owned a PlayStation, and the numbers of newcomers to the platform is much higher than it was for the PS4 and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, like it's an interesting thing, but I would say whatever they're doing right now is working.
Mag,
Here's the thing: a lot of them are PC gamers. They own a PlayStation purely just to play the exclusives. They will never play Call of Duty and Fortnite and all that over there. You got that on your PC. So they'll pick it up. It's like when I think about people I chat with in the Discord, right? They're hardcore gamers. They own everything, right? They own a Switch. They own a PlayStation. You can ask them, and they'll say, the reason I own a PlayStation is the first-party single-player exclusives. That's it. No third party. Third party will play best on their PC.
Datzinger, we have an interesting circumstance though approaching us, right, as we get to the end of this year. And I understand that your Discord and a lot of people that are listening to the show and a lot of people that listen to the show that are in the community, everybody's got a 3090 or better. I understand that. I completely get that. People that I work with that are PC gamers only, most of them play on laptop and their laptops aren't any stronger than a 2070. So hear me out for a second. A lot of the people, it's a very small census, so it doesn't count. But some of the people that I'm speaking with that are PC only are considering picking up a console for GTA 6. You may say that is preposterous. There's no way anybody I know, Datzinger, I'll ride along with you. Nobody you talk to in your gaming circles on PC would do that. They'll wait the year and play it on their powerful rig. But hear me out, right? That's not necessarily what a lot of people are going to do, aren't they? There's going to be a percentage. You may say it's small, but even a small percentage is a large number when you're talking about the PC market, right? There's going to be a percentage of people that go and buy a PS5, PS5 Pro, or maybe even an Xbox Series X to play GTA 6.
I 100% agree with you. And they will. They'll buy it for GTA, but that's all they're going to buy it for. They will buy it because they want something in particular. They're not there to... But the thing is, it's like, if we play Call of Duty, right, all on PC, right? So if I tomorrow went out and buy a PS5 for GTA, right, which I'd more than likely do to play GTA, right, I'm not going to be playing Call of Duty over there. Why would I? I'd be stupid to do so. I wouldn't play Fortnite over there. No point. I wouldn't play all my other multiplats over there because I have a better experience on my PC. So I'd be buying it purely to play GTA.
Oh, but you don't though. That's the thing. Because you do, obviously, you specifically because you're an enthusiast PC gamer. But remember, again, the data, Steam data, etc., other and analyst data shows us that the majority of PC gamers don't even have a PC that's more performant than the PlayStation 5, let alone the PlayStation 5 Pro. So remember, when we talk about
15%. We're playing games from 2024. Like everybody, if you and like it's, I always think it's a scam when people start talking about PC gaming. Like because we see the stats now from Steam themselves. Majority are playing at 1080p on their PC, and 85% of them are playing old shit. They're playing fucking Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2. You know what I mean? They're playing all this garbage that I wouldn't fucking touch with a 10-foot pole. So, man, enjoy that shit, man. I don't care. I actually think that the majority of PC gamers are completely different than console gamers. I think they're almost two separate things. That's why you'll see something like God of War sell 20 million on PlayStation and 1.5 on a PC. Because I don't think there's a lot of people specifically interested in that on a PC, you know? I said that too. I said when Microsoft started putting their shit on PC, it wasn't going to help them tremendously, but it kills what's special about it. Like Gears of War was a special franchise, and yeah, Microsoft killed that themselves a bit too by making it shitty. But like some of that specialness about that game and that franchise died when they put it on PC, and nobody even gave a fuck about it on PC. Right? Like they had to implement forced crossplay with PC because nobody on PC was playing it. Right? It's like you just really cost yourself. And the reason why like Halo 5 isn't on PC is because apparently it would play poorly on PC. due to the way the multiplayer is set up or whatever. Because obviously multiplayer stuff for PC is different than for console. So this forced kind of merging of that stuff has never worked in my opinion anyway. And, I always think that it was just a stupid thing because look at the games that they, like Indiana Jones, what did that do on PC? Nothing. Hellblade 2, what did that do on PC? Now, even Quantum Break, well, we got to fucking nuke our console and put this on PC. And what did they do? Nothing. Sunset Overdrive, nothing. Killer Instinct, nothing. None of their games did. I mean, I guess Starfield did, okay, but it's like none of their games did much of anything on PC. And their games used to sell well because I can remember them bragging back in the Xbox 360 days, hey, our Halo game outsold every PlayStation 3 exclusive combined. You had fucking Crackdown selling, 3, 4, 5 million units. You know what I mean? On the Xbox 360. Yeah. So, I mean, I always just think it's very interesting that, their games don't sell for shit anymore. And, maybe that's the point. But for me anyway, I just really think that this whole thing, we can get this huge other audience, man. And I saw somebody in the chat saying Horizon Zero Dawn was pirated over 1 million times on PC or whatever. Like that to me, like you're giving away your stuff. I mean, look at this, right? The PSP is one of the most underrated handheld gaming devices in history. Sold 80 million units, but almost nobody talks about it because piracy was really bad for it, And so people bought the thing, but were pirating all the games for it, so they weren't making any money on it. You know what I mean? It's like. I worry about that with the games industry too. It's like, why, if people are stealing your work, stop giving them your work.
But the thing is,
I know you were saying about. No, carry on. And I'll fill in afterwards.
Okay, I was just gonna say. Also, you also have to bear in mind the Steam hardware survey, which reports what the best-selling cards are. That is an opt-in survey. Like I ignore it all the time. As soon as it pops up on Steam, I click X because I don't give a shit. So only people who actually care to give their data to Steam represents the Steam survey, so you can't take it at face value and say this is definitive, because that survey is completely opt-in. You don't have to do a damn thing about it.
But
so you also have to take it with
higher-end hardware. But statistically, people with higher-end hardware are actually more likely to opt in than people who don't.
Actually, no, people I know who have the high-end rigs, they don't do no one I know does the Steam survey.
Yeah, I mean, but that's anecdotal. But
I know it's anecdotal.
If you're a PC enthusiast and you invested a lot of time and money into
it would make sense, honestly, that if you are an enthusiast, I have to back Nib here. If you're an enthusiast, and that's fine. This is again a small census because we don't know within our small group. But like, if you're an enthusiast and you have all these things and the bells and whistles, you do want to put your chest out and be like, yeah, I am playing on this. Like, I would see more of the enthusiast putting time into putting it in than somebody who was like, I don't really care what laptop I'm using, I'm just playing on it.
Exactly.
Isn't there always an excuse for PC guys though?
Yeah, they have everything. Yeah.
Like, hey, my auntie was on her she's got a thing, and they probably use that.
The thing is, it's not an excuse. It's just a factual reality that everyone has to deal with. That it's a completely opt-in service. And the vast majority don't opt in. Because if you're saying, people want to beat their chest, why are people reporting they're still running a graphics card like a 970 from like 20 years ago? Yeah. They're filling in the Steam survey. So it's not about beating your chest, it's just, can you be bothered?
Charles,
but that's how all statistics work though. Like even like polling for whether it's who you're going to vote for, anything. It's never based
it's voluntary. That's right.
It's all sample size based. But this is actually, funny enough, the Steam hardware survey data is one of the largest sample sizes to results we have in most statistical analysis. Like, it's a huge number of people who are, so it's going to be indicative of the actual numbers. Like, we're lucky to have such a huge sample size. Usually with data sets, you don't have sample sizes that big. So I would actually say it's one of the best.
It definitely shows current trends. And what is the most popular? But
I was just going to say,
if you can get 40% to respond, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. And then crap. I was just going to say to another point you made. I just was so these are like NPD figures, right, before it became Sakana. But just one franchise, because I have the sales for Gears of War in front of me. So Gears of War 3 sold 2.1 million in its first month in NPD. Gears of War Judgment sold 620k, and Gears of War 4 sold 415k, and Gears of War 5 had a drop on Gears of War 4. So it's just like a huge decline for the franchise over time, despite being on PC as well.
Wow. No, those are great numbers.
It's not special anymore. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just you're more whatever. It's
but
like
crap.
the
That's
game,
why crap.
and
That's why they're rebooting it. Crap, right? They want to try and get E-Day. They want to get people on PlayStation and or maybe it'll even be on Switch too. I don't know. But like that's why they want to reboot it. And that's the same thing I was saying to Singer before the show was basically that may be the case here with Fable. He goes, don't you think they want to have the remasters out? I go, yes, if this was Fable 4. But the fact that they're rebooting Fable, the remasters are not a necessity. It would be a good thing to do, but it's not a necessity. That was, you know what I mean? Same thing goes for Gears.
Yeah, I mean, look, who has a lot of people came from the 360 anyway and went to PS4. So a lot of people have played Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that franchise has been out for almost 20 years now, right? Like, I mean, it came out in 2006.
Yeah.
I'm sure that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say the reason why they're doing that, it's not for us. We're no longer the focus, and we don't really count anymore. We're just kind of there because they know that they've already got us in as a consumer. They're trying to attract our. This is going to sound so weird. They're trying to attract our kids. Sorry,
the next generation. They want the new generation.
They're trying to get, and that's another thing. And I talked to somebody at Sony too, and he goes, I wish that narrative would stop about us remastering like some of our games and this and that. And he says, it's really not for you. It never was for you. And people think, oh, we're just being greedy and this and that. Like, no, they're trying to get our kids interested in those games. Like, for example, I'll give you a prime example. My son and his friends, they're all teenagers now, 12, 13 years old. And the interesting thing is when people say, oh, well, kids only care about Fortnite or kids only care about, X, Y, and Z, Roblox. Those kids grow up to be us.
Yep.
Eventually. They start to mature. They start to change. So when I sneak by his room and I look inside and all of a sudden I see my son was playing Days Gone. And I'm like, oh, what's this all about? And he goes, well, I saw it there and whatever, started playing it. Now he's starting to evolve into single player games. What better time to start remastering games and sell them for for $50 or whatever, $40, and you start attracting this new audience, and that's what they're doing. Same thing with Gears, because Gears, crap, like you said, you and I and Mooch and the rest of us, we were there day one on the 360. We were playing Gears of War, 1, 2, and 3, whatever. And that's not for us. It will be for us because we'll go back and play them again anyway. Be like, hey, I can't wait to play Gears of War 2. I love that. I love the part in the hospital or whatever, right? And you're doing all this stuff, and then but it's for the kids because, and then all of a sudden, what do you do after you drop that? You drop a Marcus Phoenix collection with there. By the way, there's no multiplayer in the Gears collection. It's literally single player and co-op only. But anyways, besides that. Then you drop E-Day because now everybody's caught up. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get not only our generation, 40s, 50s, 30s, that are going to be playing Gears. You're going to get those teens now who are back in there. Now they're going to play this. It's going to be cross-generational. It's kind of like how Star Wars Episode 7 was such a massive hit. Why? Because it was multi-generational. And this is what they're trying to capitalize on. We're not going to talk about Episode 8 and 9.
PlayStation just rolling up into daycares like, hey, little boys and girls, you guys want some God of War? You want some WASP?
Yeah, there you go. Y'all want some God of War?
Handing out PS5 Pros.
That's right. The first
the
first one is free. Get you all hooked.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing about Days Gone, right? Days Gone was a throwaway IP for PlayStation. They cancelled it. And guess what? It sold more than double in its debut NPD launch month than Gears of War 4. More than double. And that's the one they're like, we can do away with this. And it's sold double.
Years of War. Come on.
You know what? I hated that game. I hated that game.
Not a big fan of
the robots.
The 4 and 5. We'll see. I'm curious. So let me ask. Listen.
Like, oh my god.
While I got you guys, let's just to change the subject slightly here. Well,
I really like Gears of War 5.
Oh well, God bless you, Nib.
I still haven't even beat that game.
Fair enough.
Cat Diaz.
Yeah, Kate will save the day, and
Terrible fucking characters. Those
James.
characters suck. When you played Gears 1 and you fucking Coltrane and Baird and Marcus,
yeah,
and
I agree.
Dom.
The story and
dude, and then you got some
I agree.
fucking like, yeah, you got some
I agree.
Yes, and like these dudes that
Yeah.
it seem like they don't have enough
Definitely.
testosterone to be doing what they're doing. Like,
I
geez.
agree. The story and characters suck, but I really like with the machine, the robot that you have. He has abilities and stuff, and I like the kind of open-ended stuff where you're on the I don't know what it's called, like a skiff or something, and like with the red desert and everything. I thought those.
I mean,
those
that stuff would have
elements
been fine. That stuff would have been fine with having the original team. They should have just do what they're doing, which is E-Day, or be like, oh, that shit was just a dream. Marcus and them guys and Dom is still alive. Like that to me anyway. Like you write yourself in a corner. Same thing with Metal Gear, right? I love Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid 4, which was a great game, really painted themselves in a corner because his aging and you know what I'm saying, and what happens at the end. So you can't have that particular guy in any future Metal Gear games. It's like you really paint yourself in a corner, and like you don't want to do that. And that's kind of what they did with Halo 2. Oh, well, we have Cortana, she's rampant or whatever. Let's just go ahead and soft reboot that. So it's not exactly Cortana, but it's still fucking Cortana, right? Like, and we're not even.
Bart Simpson has been 8 years old for 35 years.
He's 10. At least
whatever. 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? The point is, you paint yourself in a corner when it comes to a story. But anyways, you can't have those characters anymore. That's toxic masculinity. That's not allowed anymore.
Meg, since we talked about the PC thing, I do want to ask Death Singer this, and then I want to hear Meg's point on it. Death Singer, what's your take on the Steam Deck estimated roughly around 4 million units in 3 years? So
that's not bad for them. I mean, considering you can only buy it through the Steam store, right? You can't buy it anywhere else in the world. The only place you can go pick up a Steam Deck is out of their own store. So you've already hamstrung yourself, right? Because you're not selling in your Walmarts, you're not selling in your big chain stores.
Right.
You literally, the only place you can go is Steam. So I'm sure they're happy with that number. Because bear in mind, this is a side project to Steam. This is like your I hate to say it, side chick, right? It's your side chick. It's just, do you want to play your Steam games on the go?
Okay.
Here's your companion device. That's the word. It's a companion device.
So let me ask you a
it's
question.
It's not going to be a main way for people to play.
So if the Portal is floating around 2 million right now, is that a success too?
I would imagine so. It depends what they deem a success, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
If PlayStation says this is a success, it's a success.
All right. Well, no, it's just because crap. You were vocal online the other day, and you were saying basically, you called it a flop.
It's 3.7 million units in 3 years, and the thing is, they advertised it at the Game Awards, right, where hundreds of millions of people watched it. They've advertised it on Steam itself, right? When you go to, it's advertised there, and how many 100 million unit people are on Steam. You see it. You can actually get refurbs really cheap on GameStop and things like that. So there's ways that you can buy it. It's just people don't seem to be super interested. And this was the thing I thought was very interesting when people started going, well, Microsoft's going to really win the day when they come out with a handheld. And I was like, how the hell is that going to work out? 500,000 Asus ROGs have been sold, and less than 4 million Steam Decks have been sold, right? It's because PC gamers want to build their stuff, and they want, they like tinkering, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the only handheld that's done anything is the same people that always are the only ones that do anything, and that's Nintendo.
Yeah.
And people buy those handhelds because you can play those great Nintendo exclusive games. So it's like, it's crazy. And how much more value is that Switch 2 going to be with all them Xbox games and finally having Call of Duty and probably Madden and all that shit, right, Mooch? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, people like EA turned their back on Nintendo after the Wii U, and Activision too. And now they're going to come back. Everybody's going. It wouldn't shock me to see them get some sort of Grand Theft Auto dumbed down port down the road on that thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like people are well aware of that. Like, I think that thing's going to be the one that dominates the whole handheld market. I mean, look, if people, I'm not saying they're bad. Like, if the companion, but it's not a success. Fucking, if the Vita at 15 million sold is a fucking failure, then this is a failure too. There's no way around it. It's fucking 3.7 million units.
It also depends.
I was going to say, Mooch, is funny because so many people said the Portal was like dead on arrival, right?
That's right.
But in the end, the Portal's sold basically the same as the Steam Deck. I know it's substantially cheaper, blah blah blah. I get it, right? But I'm just saying that the kind of the talk on social media, etc., and YouTubers and stuff before the Portal came out was like, "Who is this shit for? This is dead."
Nib, can I ask you a question? So,
yeah.
Nib, let me ask you a question, though. Shout out to Impatient Fire.
Yeah.
I'm looking right here. He says PSVR2 is a companion device, and nobody considers that a success. So that's expensive. That was very expensive. So, I mean, not apples, not apples.
To that, thankfully.
Not apples to apples.
Get a second win.
Not the same thing. But again, these are things that ride along the side, along with PlayStation 5, right? So, it's funny how everybody says same thing they say all the time too. They'll say like Dragon's Dogma sold 2 million across all platforms, and they'll say that's a major success. I mean, the entire gaming media wrote an article on how great that was. But then you have Astrobot at 1.5 that's only available on the PS5, and they're like, well, time to close it up. It's time to wrap that up. That didn't work out so well.
Astrobot is charted every month.
Shit.
Also, you have to consider though the Steam Deck is like. Steam is literally just a store on PC, right?
Right.
That's all there is to Steam. And they release a handheld for people to play, which I appreciate. Steam games on the go. Really appreciate it. There's some great games you can play on the go. But it's like, PlayStation, you're the dominator in the console market. You are the number one box. So your expectations for what you should be selling will be probably higher than what Steam are expecting. Because Steam... Sure, it's the biggest store on PC, but it's literally just that, a store on PC, a platform. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah,
There's nothing else to Steam. So if you could sell 5 million, that would be a success to you because you have no skin in the physical market, console market. You have no skin in it.
Well, yeah, but and shout out to Ryan Landis. He made a point, that singer, to kind of counter your point. You were saying, well, don't forget the Steam Deck's only available on the Valve, Steam website, right? That's Steam Store. That makes sense. However, he makes a good point. He says, the Asus ROG Ally and all the others, they're available in brick and mortar as well as online. So, and they're not doing nearly as well. So that kind of adds to Crap's point. Whereas Xbox, people are saying, well, Xbox's day will be saved when they have a handheld. That's not necessarily adding up here when you can play Game Pass on the ROG Ally.
Well, but the ROG Ally is a different thing, though, to the Steam Deck, because I would imagine that the majority of people who actually purchase a Steam Deck has a whole library on Steam, right? I would imagine that is.
I would say that's an interesting stat. I'm not sure.
Just appeared out of nowhere and got Steam Deck.
Yes, I think there's the number would be greater than 50% for sure. But I mean, a lot of people listen. It's a great introduction to PC, right, or to Steam itself. It has a docking station. I mean, you may not be thrilled with the way that it works. It has an actual the one that's made by Valve. They have the Ethernet port on the back. I have it, so you can have a direct feed there. I mean, it could be that 40%, 30%. I don't know the number. Nib probably knows the number. How many people actually right first PC being a Steam Deck? I could see people doing this, especially people a game on the go. Go ahead, Seeds.
I was going to say the ROG Ally, shameless plug, is also on sale right now. Best Buy for $449. Make sure you follow me, Detective Seeds, on Twitter.
Oh, wow. That's a great plug.
That's a pretty good deal. But I do kind of agree with Destinger. I don't, I'm not a huge PC guy just because, I'm lazy as shit and I like to sit on my fucking couch and play video games. I do think the Steam Deck, though, that number of performance of where it's at, I actually do think it's pretty good, or at least decent for maybe what they're going after, because you don't really, or at least I don't really think of PC users as being on the go consumers. When they're really kind of centralized on a PC, right? And so I do actually agree with him that I think that is a pretty good figure. I don't know what their analysis was of what they wanted to sell, but I think when you look at the, that type of market of the consumers that they have, I don't think that's too bad of a sale. They probably like to get within that $5 to $7 million target range, if I had to imagine. But yeah, I actually think that's pretty. I didn't know it sold that many, to be transparent. So I think that is actually pretty decent. Now, the Portal being the quote unquote failure of a device that
our illustrious gaming journalists thought that it was going to be.
That's right.
It's outperformed, right? So, and it's continuing to get better. There are going to be other updates. I think Mags had some similar conversations with guys over at SIE that I probably have. There's going to be some further updates to that device's hardware and software that's going to make it even better to where more PlayStation consumers are going to want to buy it. So, I think that both had their place in the market, but I actually think that Steam Deck's done pretty well.
I currently own a Steam Deck. I bought the Asus ROG Ally. Like I said, I sold that to a coworker. I ended up keeping the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is the closest thing. Crap always says, Crap is like, I'm never getting into PC gaming, and he won't. But I will tell you, the closest thing that would get him into that would probably be if he had a Steam Deck, because that is a handheld that works like a console. Like, you turn it on and bang.
A great device.
It is a great device.
It's a great device, yeah. I'm glad they made it.
It's like I used
to be a great device to be the Switch 2.
Like I use the Steam Deck in bed, and it's like, let's say I'm playing Civilization on my PC right now.
Yeah, are you with your side chick though?
Let's say I'm playing Civ 7 on PC. I'm like, you know what? I want to go lie down. I'll take Civ on the go on my Steam Deck. I could play the exact same game. I'm just now away from my PC, laid down in bed. It's how I finished the Yakuza games. Great games to play on the Steam Deck, by the way. The Yakuza and Persona games.
Yes, they are. They are very good.
You could just lie down in bed. You don't have to be at your PC. And you could just play away. And then when you're done, and because it's linked to your Steam, all the achievements and everything go across. So it's that is what a lot of people do with their Steam Deck. Is like, I don't want to sit at my PC today. I want to take a step back, go sit in a chair, or lie down, and
I'm excited. It's funny you say that, because I do agree with you. There is a lot of unique features and capabilities with the Steam Deck, as well as other handhelds. But that is something that's very cool. I'm wondering when Steam's going to come out with their. I think they said, didn't they say they would make an announcement no earlier than 2026? I don't think it'll come. Steam Deck 2. I'm not saying it'll come out in 2026, but they may announce it next year.
I mean, they probably will.
More techier.
Well, let me tell you, Crap. It's going to have to be a lot stronger, and the battery's got to be a lot better, in my personal opinion. I mean, I think it's got to be a little bit stronger, because the
side chick's going to get fake boobs.
Exactly. That's what it definitely needs. So, all right. So I want to talk about the PSVR2 real quick, guys. They dropped in price, and is this? Listen, is this bad due to poor sales? Or is this a strategic move towards the end of the generation? Crap. I mean, that's fine.
It's bad sales. I mean,
you think so?
Like, I like the thing. Yeah, I like the thing, but it's
Yeah, there he is.
All right.
Hey guys, listen. I apologize. I got to apologize to you guys on the panel and in the chat. It's just one of those things where I don't know. I have no idea why, and I can't even seem to get you guys. Let me see if I can get you guys into the actual show right now. Let me see if they can hear us. Can the audience hear us right now? We should be live.
They're saying we're back.
No,
they're saying we're back.
They're saying we're back.
Okay, well, here's what I'll do. I want you guys to finish your thoughts, and then I'll wrap up the show, because I apparently I did reach out to a buddy of mine who's like he's like a PC enthusiast. I said, buddy, you got to come over here. We got to troubleshoot this bad boy, because it's not something that you would think is wrong, because the PC itself is fine. It's something going on. I bet you one of the wires is literally either loose. I've lost a connection on something, because it's like it just loses something, and then it triggers it to like completely like shut off, which stinks. So
the thing is, it's shutting off. Is it blue screening? Or
no,
is it literally just
no. The screens go completely dark, and then the PC does not shut off. I repeat, it does not shut off. The PC's up and running. Fans are going. Everything, the graphics card, the CPU, everything is up and running, and then it just kind of does this little like blip, and then it resets itself, and then it turns back on. And it's not a heating issue. It's not a heating issue, because I checked that yesterday. So
I mean, it might be. You probably have to just disconnect all your streaming stuff and reconnect it one by one and see what the issue is.
Can you
So
guys?
you're going to be on PlayStation after we're done? I think Mag and I are going to jump on, hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely chat with you guys for sure. I want to say thanks to this amazing panel, guys, for putting up with my technical difficulties. I want to say thanks to the chat for the technical difficulties. Real quick, Charles Hawk, who gave a $5 super chat, he says, I have coworkers have PCs. They all game on 1080p and they all play Civ 5 and PUBG. Basically, that's kind of same thing with my coworkers, to be honest with you. Bathy J says, keeps crashing when crap rants. Spencer has beef, apparently. Shout out to Ocelot, who gave, he says, got PS5, 3, and 2 hooked up. Right now, Sony doesn't care about me. That was back when we were talking about actual fans versus customers. Shout out to the great Lord Metroid. He says, playing a Metroidvania masterpiece in Returnal. And shout out to Face 23. He says, crap, you're still buying games on Xbox. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all those guys. And I will promise you guys that I will do a full test before next Thursday. We will be up and running 100% no matter what I have to do. Seeds, I want to say thanks to you. If you do want to go ahead and give a shout out real quick. Again, sorry to the panel guys in the chat for the technical difficulties tonight.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on. If you got room, I'll come back on next week. I'm in town.
Absolutely.
For next couple weeks. So appreciate you having me on. Just follow me on Twitter at Detective Seeds. I'm constantly posting, whether it's PlayStation news or deals that are currently going on, photos of end games, stuff like that, shit talk, whatever. So you can also, if you want to connect with me on PlayStation, I pretty much just had people. My PSN is Detective Seeds. So it was awesome being on here with you guys. And look forward to jumping on next week, man. Chat, appreciate you guys. Even if we don't agree, it's always nice to have conversations with people that like playing games, especially Thrash. I like the dude. I wish his, the best on his content side. Hopefully, and that was kind of a bad deal. So if we can help in any way possible,
absolutely. Shout out to King Thresh. Me and King Thresh have the same birthday. It's great. It's like our day on Twitter. It's a lot of fun. So shout out to King. Actually, I'm going to reach out to King Thresh, see if I can get him on the show. If he can do a Thursday night, that would be phenomenal. And Seeds would be great. Maybe I'll see if Seeds. I'll see if King's available. Maybe we can do next Thursday. That'd be a lot of fun. Shout out to Mary Wilcox in the chat and everybody. JC 2013. They're all saying, "Hey Mooch, stuff happens. Technically, don't worry about it." I appreciate it. Mass produced. Thank you so much. Seeds, thank you so much for being here, especially under the weather, man. That means a lot. The great Mag, listen, I think there was a time where my PC crashed tonight. You were talking and they were like, well, Mooch never missed a minute. So that's fantastic, Mag. I can't say thanks enough to you. By the way, guys, really, Mag, I know you're going to, I want you to please promote. Mag is working so hard. Not only does he do the show with Cult on Monday, but he does his own channel now. He streams. He's got things going on. Him and his son playing Marvel Rivals. Him and the missus are playing games. He's doing videos. Meg, I'll let you take it from there. But I got to say, from someone like myself that's trying to get into it, I did a review this week. I'm going to try and do a little bit more on this channel and keep it growing. You've been a great inspiration. You're like, I'm making this channel work and you're kicking ass. So, Meg, let them know about it. And thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you very much, Mooch. And chat, you guys were awesome, man. It was a great show tonight. We had a lot of good things to talk about. And the channel. So obviously I'm on the other channel with Colt. We do the XNC on Mondays. And then I opened my own channel. I said, after 5 years of being on YouTube, I said, you know what? I think it's time. So now I stream with my wife once a week, Till Death Do Us Part. That's the name of the show.
Great show.
And, we're playing Space Marine 2 right now. And then on Fridays, I'm playing It Takes Two with my son. And we're doing that in anticipation of Split Fiction, which comes out next week. So the same developers, right? So excited to play that game. We're doing that. Of course, I'm doing my videos. I'm doing Hollywood. I'm doing gaming, mostly gaming. But I cover everything: PlayStation, Xbox. I haven't done any Nintendo stuff yet. I will when the Switch 2 comes out. Doing that. I'm reviewing trailers. I'm reviewing games, game shows, developer directs, whatever the hell, game reveals, whatever's going on. I'm already on there and I'm doing it. I'm releasing 2-3 videos a week. Just crossed about 1.1 thousand in the first month.
Nice.
For subs. And then my latest video, I gave the reasons. I said Fable delayed. Here are the reasons. I just released that video, and then that just got 1,000 views. So I was happy with that. So that's
very
great,
nice.
I'm having a great time. I'm not doing that to spout numbers. I'm just happy that like people are coming out to check out the content and appreciate what I'm doing. So, anyways, I'll send a link in the chat. There it is. I just sent it right now.
Guys, go over and
that's
check out Mag.
Go check it out, man. Like I said, I cover everything. I cover Xbox, PlayStation, and then Hollywood stuff as well. I even broke down the new Fantastic Four trailer. I know comic books. I know exactly where Red Ghost is from, who was in the trailer and all that stuff. I got all that stuff down pat, man. I'm all in. So either way, that's enough from me. The Mag Show. That's where you can find me. But everybody's have a great night. We'll talk to y'all real soon.
Mag, I appreciate that, and thank you. Guys, go over and follow Mag. He's got the link right there in the chat. Shout out to the great Jay Barry. Jay, great to see Jay Barry here, everybody. Go over and check out What's Up PlayStation as well. Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's how I start my Saturdays. That's how you guys should start yours. I want to say shout out to Death Singer as well. Singer, appreciate you being here, buddy. And I know some weeks we don't really get into a lot of the PC stuff, so I get that. But at the same time, this week, boy, I'll tell you, you might have got top billing on this one. Death Singer, great to have you here as always, buddy. Let people know they can find you, and thanks for putting up with my technical difficulties all day long.
It's fine. I understand. Being a PC gamer, things come up.
Things happen.
Although people seem to people seem to think PC gamers have a problem every single day of the week. And I don't know where they get that misconception from, because it's like I was having a blue screen issue and one of my RAM got unseated. So guess what I did, people? I took 1 minute out of my day. I opened my PC. I took my RAM out, put it back in, turned it on. Voila, I'm gaming again. Crazy, right?
Insane.
And I had to get a PhD. I had to get a PhD to do that, by the way. But hey, PC problems. But yeah, it was a great show, great talking to people. And it was a great show.
It was a good show tonight.
A lot of good topics.
Great show tonight, Death Singer. I can't do anything but agree with you there. Outstanding. The great Nib. I'm not sure if maybe you took a power nap. He was on a plane all day yesterday.
And I've been away for like almost a month. Back and forth to different countries. Came back and I literally knocked out on the sofa. Wife woke me up. We won't talk about that. And then I just came straight to the podcast.
Do me a favor, Nib. Make sure you tell the missus I said thank you very much. By the way.
yeah. But yeah, I tell you what, it's crazy because I came back and I'm like, I didn't get to play that many games. It's like away on business and stuff. But it's like there's so much to play right now.
There is a lot.
I've got Avowed, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the new Pirate Hawaii Yakuza game turned up as well.
Yes.
And then I've just got a notification that AC Shadows is going to be shipped soon. So it's like, oh my god. And these are blatantly going to be long games. I assume Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is quite a long game.
It's very long.
It is a very long game.
It's like I'm going to be like in a Zimmer frame by the.
That's not my PC. That was Nib's mic. I promise.
No,
you.
that's Nib.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was not my PC.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm literally gonna be in a Zimmer frame by the time I finish these games, and we've barely got started. And and sometimes I do think, like, with this whole like doom and gloom around the market, it's just too many games, maybe.
We're really down on the industry, yet we're not going to have nearly the amount of time to play these games that you just even listed.
No, like you literally can't. And these are high quality games. Like Avowed has done reasonably well. The reception has been strong. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yes.
Amazing reception, right? Like I think it's like 89 or something, and I can just see across the board. Like, while I was away on holiday, I'd watched these YouTube clips of it, and I'm like, damn, this game actually looks really good. Like, I never played Kingdom Come Deliverance, so I was like, oh, there's just something about it. It seems like a more realistic, immersive sort of RPG. I don't know if that is what it is like.
It is.
Because that's what it is. It is a sim RPG, and that's what put people off the game, is because it's too sim heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to live the character, you have to do the daily life, you have to, like in the first one, you're a blacksmith, son. Guess what you do as soon as you get in the game? You have to do some blacksmithing. Crazy, right?
It looks really appealing, and like I think that visually it looks really impressive as well. Like I love the armor and anyway, whatever, I'm blabbing on. But where can you find me? Don't follow me. You'll be bored of reading my long ass theses and data points and numbers. So don't bother. But if you do want to, and you want data and stuff like that, then just go to X.
Nib, there's no way people listen to CrossFire that don't love numbers. They're going to be all over Your Twitter. Go ahead. But let them know where they can follow you.
Yeah, I mean, I like that because, like, I always feel like opinions is all subjective, right? But data is an objective metric. So I always like having like an objective thing to at least offer a foundation to an opinion, right?
Agreed.
Then it has more credibility. But yeah, anyway, it's just NIB95 underscore nib95 underscore on X and or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. That's it.
Absolutely awesome, Nib. Thank you so much. Death Singer, thank you so much for hanging out the entire time. Shout out to Crap Gamer who had to leave. He told me, he goes, Mooch, 9 o'clock, I got to go. And then when my PC crashed, he goes, he wrote me just now, he goes, perfect timing, had to leave anyway. Shout out to the great Crap Gamer. It's _Crap Gamer. It's Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. Shout out also to Detective Seeds who gave his shout out. I think everybody else was able to give their shout out before they left Mag as well. Outstanding show. Guys, please hit the like button. We will be back next week with the PC fixed, Mooch's voice intact, and we'll be just in better shape overall. And please go over and follow me on twitch.tv. We are going to be doing a lot of Twitch content starting in April. That's not a joke. It's not. I'm redoing the entire room, got a new desk, got everything so that streaming can be smooth. I can just start the stream, play the game, and it's going to be very exciting. We got a lot of people that we're pairing up with too. It's going to be a lot of fun. That being said, we'll see you next Thursday, guys, before the PC crashes again. Please hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't.
Everyone.
We'll see you guys later. Peace out. Good night.
Cheers.